I love pro wrestling. I have since I was a small child. This form of entertainment has captivated me throughout my entire life. These characters, the match quality, everything about wrestling, the storytelling has been so intriguing to me, and it's sometimes hard to describe. It's hard to describe why these men pretending to fight is just so interesting to me. Why their athletic ability captivates me so much. Why their storytelling ability captivates me so much. So I thought, why don't I set up this camera and tell you why I love this form of entertainment as much as I do. Welcome to the Wrestling Universe channel. My name is Cosk, and today I'm going to be telling you why I love professional wrestling. My love for professional wrestling began when I was 5 years old. My father, who was an early 90s casual fan, showed me a match between The Undertaker and Rey Mysterio. The reason for this was to scare me. He remembered The Undertaker from when he was watching professional wrestling and thought, hey, let me show my 5-year-old son this big, spooky undead guy. That will get a reaction, that will be funny, that's something you can record. But what he didn't expect was that this would start my lifelong love of professional wrestling. Yes, admittedly, I was a bit scared of The Undertaker, but what I was watching was something that has continued to fascinate me throughout my life. This underdog, babyface, although I didn't know that word back then, wrestler fighting from underneath against this big, scary, mean dude in The Undertaker. That's so fascinating for a 5-year-old. David versus Goliath. But what's strange is instead of me kind of falling out of wrestling as I start to realize things about it, I begin to appreciate it more and more. I don't hate wrestling because it's scripted. I love wrestling because it's scripted. Because it's a form of entertainment where you can do anything you want. You can build characters any way you want, and you can do some of the best stories in all of entertainment, specifically and exclusively in the wrestling genre. The example I always go to is the Yes Movement. The Yes Movement is this beautiful story of an underdog chosen by the fans who really became at one point the face of the company due to it. He was fighting the Authority on screen as a part of the TV show, but it really felt like he was fighting them in real life too. It felt like the battle we were seeing on screen was this battle that was happening behind the scenes. And you saw the audience completely take to Daniel Bryan. The Yes Movement took the WWE by storm. Everybody was chanting yes. And WWE at first they tried to fight it. They tried to make it a chant that you could do for anyone. The Big Show tried to take over the chant, but it wasn't working. Everyone loved Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would essentially hijack the show by being so loved. This would lead eventually to Daniel Bryan main eventing and winning at WrestleMania for the World Championship. The biggest moment of anyone's career happened to Daniel Bryan because of how beloved he is by the audience. And that's on the fly creative decisions that you can only get in professional wrestling. Because it's live week by week. You see it develop week by week. And maybe for a TV show, they already wrote the script for this season. And even then, it's very hard for you to get them to listen to you because they can just ignore your tweets. If it's a live show where the crowds go every single week, they can't ignore you when you're as loud as you possibly can. They can try, and they have certainly tried. But sometimes it's not very successful, and in Daniel Bryan's case, it was not successful for them. And they had to give in, and what they got was one of the best moments in wrestling history. That's just one example. Another example is the Stone Cold Bret Hart match, where they had the double turn. Stone Cold came in as the bad guy, Bret Hart as the good guy, and by the end of it, the fans loved Stone Cold and they hated Bret Hart. That is something you can only get in professional wrestling. It's a story taking such a drastic shift in one match. We've seen it time and time again. We saw the Acclaimed essentially get a confirmed top guy run due to the reaction they got in their first match with Keith Lee and Swerve. The fans hold the cards in professional wrestling, which is why I love it so much. And not just that, but even the storytelling that isn't due to the fans' reaction. Because that's one of my favorite stories, where the fans dictate what happens. But even in other sorts of stories, like the Hangman Page story with the Elite, a story that took place across years and years, and you saw it develop every week live. You felt like you were changing with these characters because the struggles you saw Hangman Page go through are struggles that happened while you were going through struggles of your own, and you've developed with this character. You've developed with Hangman Page, and you saw him go from being kind of the bad guy to the full-on good guy going against his evil friend by the end, and now it's going off full circle where they're back together. And this story, which took place 3 to 4 years, was absolutely beautiful and climaxed at the Full Gear event where Hangman Page won the World Championship from Kenny Omega. This is storytelling you can only get in professional wrestling. It is so unique and so special, and that's what makes me love it so much. Something else I love about professional wrestling is how connected it is. I like to call it the wrestling multiverse. Think about it this way. You're watching Oppenheimer and you're watching Breaking Bad. Imagine Oppenheimer could join the Breaking Bad universe and start his own drug empire to fight against Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. That stuff happens in wrestling all the time. It's these guys from different universes or different wrestling companies crossing over, signing new contracts, and you see these dream matches between guys you never thought would interact because they were not in the same universe. A good example would be, I mentioned him earlier, Bryan Danielson going to AEW and facing off against Kenny Omega. Or Cody Rhodes going back to the WWE and facing off against Roman Reigns. We've seen this throughout wrestling history. Guys jumping ship and facing opponents who they couldn't have faced before and having amazing rivalries with them and having stuff that fans could only dream of, except it's a possibility in pro wrestling. You can see these different universes cross over. Think AJ Styles and John Cena having a feud. That's insane. The face of WWE versus the face of TNA. Anything can happen in professional wrestling, and that's what makes it so special. It really feels like this multiverse of all of these different wrestling styles that you see combine into each other. Because everyone comes from different universes and they all kind of blend into companies together, you see all of these different styles in multiple companies. You can see Lucha Libre in an American company because the Lucha Libre guys can sign into an American company. You can see strong style guys go to an American company. You can see American wrestlers go to a strong style company. This is the type of stuff you get in pro wrestling. You can get these different styles blending together. You can get these different characters interacting with each other who you never thought in a million years would interact with each other. That is what makes wrestling so special. No matter what happens to me, no matter how much I develop as a person, no matter how much I change as a person, one thing will stay the same. There will always be one constant in my life, and that is professional wrestling. It has helped me in my lowest of lows, and it has been with me as my highest of highs. This genre of entertainment means the absolute world to me, and to get to talk about it every day on this channel with you guys is amazing. Thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in more content, subscribe for more. Have a nice day.